This year, I painstakingly went through and watched all 50 movies nominated for an Oscar, my second year doing the death race. In this video, I will be ranking them all worst to best, giving a little synopsis about them and telling you what I thought of each movie. It's to sort of help you determine which ones might be worth watching. If you are going to watch the Oscar ceremony, you should of course watch all 10 Best Picture nominees, no questions asked, and should probably tick off some of the other ones that you were more excited for. But that's weak sauce. I had to watch all 50 and have an opinion on them. So here it is, my ranking of every movie nominated for an Oscar this year. Diane Warren Relentless, nominated for Best Original Song, is a documentary about Diane Warren, a musical composer who has penned some of the world's biggest hits out there. But this movie more specifically is about her journey to getting an Oscar. Every year, come Oscar nom morning, we know we are going to get a song from Warren in the category. And it's gonna be in some shitty movie we have to watch if we want to complete the race. And this year, her shitty movie was all about herself. I just found this one to be so depressing. It was an hour and a half of her complaining about not getting an Oscar yet. If you want one that badly, why don't you work on a good movie? You don't have to work on the shitty Cheeto biopic movie. She seems so committed to her work that I found it hard to empathize with her as a person throughout most of this. Cher told a story that the movie wanted us to think was cute. Warren wrote a song and physically held Cher down, begging her to sing it. It just seems so exhausting to me how rude and committed Warren is to her work. And the begging for an Oscar wasn't cute, I just didn't like the overall vibe of this movie and what it was going for. There were some moments where the hard exterior dropped and you got to see the person behind her, and these were some of my favorite moments of the doc. The stuff with Gaga being really good, but I just can't get on board with this nothing movie getting a nom off of a singular fine song, when movies that mean so much more and are so much better like Left-Handed Girl, Neza 2, Sorry Baby, and Layla go nomless. I think I dislike this one so much because of how much Diane Warren has put me through in the past with her song nominations. I can't be bothered to enjoy these. The Ugly Stepsister, nominated for makeup and hairstyling, is a fairy tale reimagining of Cinderella in the horror genre, focusing on the stepsister, the pressure she goes through to marry the prince for her mother. You hear horror reimagining of a public domain property and immediately think the worst. And I do have this low, but it's not because it's some awful cash grab of a movie. The craft and vibe are what they should be with this type of movie, leaning into horror and making you squeam. But I am a little baby and I hate body horror. It made me squirm through and through. There were points I just wasn't watching and I was skipping through some of it because of how miserable I was looking at how gross this was. It brought me physical pain at one point. If you are fine with body horror, medical stuff, and needles, you might get something out of this, but I was not able to because I do not gel with that type of thing. The nomination, though, seems to work. The makeup is really good here. The Three Sisters, nominated for animated short, is our first short of the list, about three sisters who live on an island and a man comes to live with them. They each try to impress him and get him romantically interested in them. In its short 15-minute runtime, this movie manages to make me dislike all four of its characters. The story is so uninteresting and bland too. The animation isn't anything to write home about either. I just don't understand why this was nominated at all. What is there to like about this movie? We largely have a dire bunch of animated shorts this year. I just don't get it. There were some good ones shortlisted. Why did you make me waste my time on 15 minutes of this? Viva Verda, nominated for Best Original Song, is about an institute of old people who were professional musicians, and now they live in this house built over a century ago. It's a retirement home based around music and their shared love of it, performing and continuing to find joy with it, while also teaching the younger generation. The old people in this were at least a little cute, and their energy and joy I did find inspiring. I enjoyed the movie a decent amount when Claudio Gambini was there. He had this natural charisma and pull to him, such a cheerful guy who cared about his craft, but there just wasn't much more than that. It's a doc about quite a few subjects, without much of a through line and nothing all that revolutionary. It just felt a little too unfocused to really pull me in all that much. It just kind of ended up being a little boring. I hate that the Academy made me watch 2 boring documentaries for the song category this year. Every year you expect to watch at least 1, maybe 2 boring docs because of the category, but the fact that they now seeped into other categories, making it like 3 or 4 boring docs, is outrageous. And they didn't even nominate Wicked for this category, a movie I watched just because I thought it was going to get nominated for an Oscar. This one makes me mad on a personal level. It's not really the movie's fault. One battle after another, nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, 2 Best Supporting Actor, Adapted Screenplay, Casting, Cinematography, Editing, Production Design, Sound, and Score. It's a lot of nominations, the second most nominations of the night, and the current frontrunner to win the big award, and I have it this low. If you somehow don't know what this movie's about and are watching this, One Bottle is about a group of revolutionaries and how they go up against a racist militant group. I am working on a script for a full review of One Battle that I will release if it wins Best Picture. But in short, I know the movie making here is great. Undeniable even. The drama and spectacle are high throughout and the emotional stakes are there. But the movie deals with contemporary politics and racial issues, and I find this movie to fall completely flat on that front. None of the black women in this movie stand up to have actual beliefs or be useful revolutionaries. They just blow shit up for the sake of it. Rather than exploring these women's philosophies, the movie is far more interested in the white boys and which one of them is the dad. That is where my frustration comes from. The movie uses the current social and political unrest, uses racism to hype up the drama without ever fully diving into the problems and feelings behind that racism. It is irresponsible to take these feelings and use it for a movie without diving into it at all. Jumping on a cause to get tension in your movie is so superficial to me, borderline dangerous. I can, at the very least, understand some of these noms, I guess, but this many is just so frustrating to see. The lack of critical thinking about this movie just drives me nuts. Then the best part of this was Chase Infinity, and she didn't even get a nom, but instead we still nommed the white boys who did fine acting in this. I am preying on this movie's downfall. Please don't award the white boy who wrote and directed a movie where the useless white guy is the hero over the minority characters win at this award show. Perfectly a Strangeness, nominated for documentary short, is about some donkeys just kind of wandering around, I guess. When I finished watching this one, I wasn't sure if it was a doc or a live action short. It's literally just 15 minutes of donkeys. Like, what am I supposed to say about this? The donkeys are kind of cute and there are some fancy shots in there, but like, guys, this is the Oscars. This movie's Oscar nominated and they literally just follow some donkeys around. Retirement Plan, nominated for Best Animated Short, is about Roy, who is getting ready to retire and is looking forward and backwards on his life. He muses about all the missed opportunities and how he will now live his life to the fullest, considering that he has more time in retirement. This is a movie that I get the point behind, but the message is just beaten over your head, and I find the delivery here to be so boring and unimaginative. Just a recounting of his life in the plainest way possible. It reminded me a few years ago when we got 95 Cents nominated. But that movie had stakes and a reason to be. This one did not. Retirement Plan is just a journal entry spoken out loud and animated, given an Oscar nom. The shorts in their simplicity can be really annoying, and that was definitely felt this year. I want a little more meat on these bones. I want some reason to actually go and watch these and think about them. Retirement Plan left my brain almost immediately after I finished watching it. Forever Green, nominated for Animated Short, is about a tree raising a bear. The bear wants to explore and the tree's feelings are hurt. Another incredibly basic story, one where I find the thesis to be dumb. It's a movie about not letting your kid go out and be their own person. The bear leaves the tree and fire comes, causing the tree to die. What a fun message to send. Stay at home and don't be your own person, kids. This is the type of movie to empower overly protective parents. The type who strip any sense of freedom and self-expression away from their kids. It backs that up by how the tree and the bear interact, but what saves this is that the bear was at least a little cute at points in the animation. It does more than either Retirement Plan or Three Sisters. The texture really developed here, and it didn't look like anything else I saw this year, so I can definitely compliment it and give it flowers on how it looked. This movie is going to fit in so well with the preachy mid-movies that tend to win this award a little too well. After I watched this one, it just kind of made sense that this would get nominated and probably win. They could have nominated Snow Bear, but they went with this bear because, I don't know, they don't like nominating good movies in this category, I guess. Avatar: Fire and Ash, nominated for Best Visual Effects and Best Costume Design, is the third movie of the Avatar franchise, and largely the same as the ones that came before it. I can't imagine you liking the first two and not liking this one, but I find this series of movies to be overwhelmingly mid. Boring story and characters, surrounded by the most middle-of-the-road action ever. There's not much of a reason to choose to watch these specifically, other than them being nominated for an Oscar. If they weren't nominated, I'd stop watching them. And Fire and Ash mostly follows that road. The story and dialogue is downright dreadful in this one, with a couple really cringy lines, some of the line deliveries in particular being laughably bad, and I just can't care about this general dude hunting down Jake for a third movie in a row. But after all this, Fire and Ash is my favorite of the three very marginally. Why? Because there were more of the big ass whales in this one. I love the whales and how they just destroy stuff. They're too cool for this movie in the best part of it. Then I also enjoyed the fire avatar woman more than anything else this franchise has given me. They didn't need to make her hot, but they did, and I respect that. I didn't like the movie, but it had the most positives of these mid-ass movies. Armed with only a camera, The Life and Death of Brett Renault is nominated for documentary short. This is a film honoring the life of Brett Renault, an American journalist and reporter killed in the Russian-Ukraine conflict. The first one. He seemed like a great, genuine person, the type of voice we need, brave and willing to document the world's injustices, putting his life on the line. For that, I do praise Brent and think he was cool, but this doc was unfocused and just jumped around a little too much. As a movie made for honoring a relative slash friend, it works. It's cute, but there just wasn't enough focus or an idea to make me interested. It needed more meats on its bone to get me fully there. The Lost Bus, nominated for visual effects, is about a real-life wildfire that happened, and more specifically, when a bus driver answers a call to rescue a group of children stuck at the school. The driver and a teacher have to navigate the chaos of a raging fire to bring the kids to safety. This was a movie of two halves for me. The first one was rather boring and unengaging. Then the second heated up, both figuratively and literally, when the fire got hotter and wilder and the stakes got even more present. I was hardly invested in this movie, not caring about what happened, until all of a sudden that switch flipped and I started feeling what the movie wanted me to. But it was just a little too late, unable to recover from the start of this movie. The visual effects were good, so I can't fault the Academy for this one. It fits in the nomination category it got. America Ferrera was fine at the start and really settled into a role and began to shine towards the later stages of the movie, much like what happened in the actual movie quality itself. Then Matthew McConaughey was great in the whole thing. He was the only part that really kept me going for the first 40 minutes. Shame that we're talking about this right now and not Rivals of Amaziah King, a movie I can't wait to get distribution and watch. The Girl Who Cried Pearls, nominated for animated short, is about a young girl who cries pearls, and a little boy who was in love with her, stuck between his greed and wanting the pearls, and wanting to comfort his love, stopping her from crying. The framing here is what really annoys the world out of me. Rather than just telling the story, we go like 60 plus years into the future, where the boy is telling his granddaughter about how he got his fortune, so the entire thing is told through narration. It's a problem I've had with shorts in the past. You should show, you don't have to tell us everything in a short. It's such a lazy way to tell a story. Get creative and experiment a little bit. The animation here is pretty, so at least it has that going for it. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, nominated for Best Actress, is about Linda, a therapist with an ill child, missing husband, hostile relationship with her boss/therapist himself, and her clients. It's a stressful movie where everything feels like it's falling around her, crumbling. I hate how low I have this movie. It should be right up my alley. I love stressful movies, but this just didn't hit the kind of stress I like. It didn't pull me in. Instead, it made me want to turn the movie off, which I imagine was the point of it. This happens from time to time, like an Ugly Stepsister. This movie wasn't made for everyone to enjoy. It was supposed to be rough and hard to watch. So I won't call it bad, just not for me at this point. This movie achieved what I wanted and did some solid filmmaking throughout there. And the nom it did get makes sense even from somebody who didn't love the movie. Rose Byrne carried this thing and gave a powerhouse performance, being on screen for what felt like the entire movie. I respect the nom, even if I would have one and two I would have gone with over Rose Byrne. I can't be too mad at this one. It also has two solid supporting actor performances in Conan O'Brien and A$AP Rocky, who each did their own thing and added to the movie. A Friend of Dorothy, nominated for live action short, is about the relationship an elderly woman and a young man form, and the fallout of her death when her grandson questions her will and their relationship. Live action shorts have the potential to be a hard category to compete, and pick some bad winners, but this year's batch was pretty solid overall. With A Friend of Dorothy, a rather inoffensive movie, being the worst of the bunch, we call that a win. It is direct Oscar shorts bait, which is different from feature bait. These are normally sweet stories that are sentimental and have a message behind them. No matter how obvious and shallow that message is, the Academy eats it up. But the short largely works because of the interplay between the leads. It doesn't doesn't feel too unnatural that this unlikely friendship would blossom. It doesn't have that much of a bite or substance to it, but do any of these shorts really do that? No. I'm not going to be thinking about this one or returning to it, but I didn't hate having to watch it. Look, I'm sorry, I lied, and this video is not ranking all 50 movies nominated for the Oscars this year, because there's still one I haven't seen, and that's Argo. This movie was released in January 2026, so it shouldn't even really count. It had such a limited theatrical run. There was like one theater within 3 hours of me that showed it at 3 p.m. for like 4 days. I just couldn't get to the theater and get this one watched, and I wanted to get this out in a timely manner and not wait for Argo to hit VOD, because it would have been useless to people wondering what they should watch if I waited a whole nother month for it. Elio, nominated for animated feature, is about a child who loves space and ends up getting caught in an intergalactic war. He has to solve it through space politics and healing generational trauma, and that description makes the movie sound way cooler than it is. I'm pretty disappointed to see this nominated, to be real. Are we still really just giving Pixar noms for the mediocre movies when there are better, more adventurous ones out there? Elio's not bad. We have hit a tier where they are all watchable, serviceable movies. But what here is Oscar worthy other than the fact it comes from a prestigious studio, and it's one of the ones Academy voters actually bothered to watch. We nominated Flow last year. You could have gone with Neza with this. I just found the movie so forgettable. I had to read the wiki to remember the plot of this one. Upon editing, I did remember this had quite a few funny little guys in it, just like dudes that looked cute and weird and came from space, which makes me like it a little bit more. All the Empty Rooms, nominated for documentary short, is about Steve Hartman, a news reporter who goes around to the homes of victims of school shootings, taking pictures and showing what was left behind. It's a doc that had some highs and lows for me. Shockingly, going to the kids' rooms didn't register much to me. I don't fully connect with the idea that their bedrooms are the best way to show off what's gone. The feeling of school shootings. Instead, talking to the parents is what I felt, and what got me emotional. I was tearing up at points when the parents were talking about how much they missed the children. So I think the room aspect just took a little focus, not a ton though. And Steve was also a surprise to me. He takes some time to talk about why he's doing the project, which is something that should distract from me. But coming from news where he is usually the positive guy, the one bringing the mood back up, means a lot. This is him finally getting sick of it, screaming out that enough is enough while never feeling overly preachy. They strike the balance to make it a pretty solid doc. I almost think this could have benefited from a little more time. Dive into the families a little bit more, just make it hit that much harder. Come and See Me in the Good Light, nominated for documentary feature, is about the love between two poets when one of them is diagnosed with cancer. It's about death, but more importantly life, which is cheesy to say, but this is a cheesy movie. But they have cancer and might die soon, so who am I to judge this? This is a complete exploration of what it intends to be, and it ends up being rather beautiful. There are some super uplifting moments in this doc about death as well. It has a life to it that you can just feel, that comes down to Andrea and their wife Megan, and the two love they share. A super emotional ending with the death of Andrea, who has lived their life to the fullest it seems. Where the movie fails to fully grab me is the poetry. It's an art form I have tried to meaningfully engage with, and I just can't at this point. I can understand it means a lot to them, but I can't fully feel that. Zootopia 2, nominated for Best Animated Feature, Judy Hopps is back on her shit being a cop here. This time it's all about reptiles and how they are banned from the city because of decade-old rumors and media controlled by the lynxes. On the surface, this is a pretty solid family movie. Some fun characters and set pieces, a cute story. What you want out of a Disney animated movie. Not a slog, and it gets the job done. However, I really want to hyper-analyze this and nitpick it, extracting the story outside of a kid's movie and pretend this is trying to say a lot more than it is. I know it doesn't matter, but this movie is cop propaganda. ACAB first and foremost. Judy Hopps has always been a villain, a bad cop, and this movie reinforced that. She has no respect for rules and plays the victim during the first movie. Then during this one, Judy and Nick are bad partners who should be separated. But she doesn't care and lets her ego get in the way of her own work. The only thing worse than a cop who respects the system is one who believes they are above it, like Judy. She finds some snakeskin, and her first thought is to racially profile that snake. She has to be extra security at the event, because if there's a snake, they have to be doing crime. Then she spends the rest of the movie trying to preach to others about acceptance. Girl, come on now. It is largely just the same plot from the first one retooled, same delusional lead character reusing unfunny gags. But what more should I expect? Disney sequels tend to be that. I can see why this was inoffensive enough to get a nom. The world building is fun, and I want to like it. Enough to make this a middling movie. As far as kids movies, you can do a lot worse. Plus, the Shakira Gazelle is back. That alone should give this movie 5 stars. The Singers, nominated for live action short, is about a night in a bar where all the men have a hard exterior, but slowly break down those walls, connecting over music and singing. It was a perfectly fine short, and there's that one guy that looks a lot like a younger Samoa Joe, so that's cool. The movie built a really great atmosphere, but it didn't really pull me in much more than that. I enjoyed it, but it's just one of these shorts that, yep, I watched it and I'm never gonna think of it again. Begonia, nominated for Best Picture, Best Actress, Adapted Screenplay, and Score, is about two conspiracy theorists who kidnap a CEO believing she is an alien. They torture her trying to come to a deal for Earth's safety, directed by one of the Academy's golden boys, Yorgos Lanthimos. At this point, I'm a little tired of his shtick, the awkward, stilted writing and delivery, being weird just for the sake of it, especially with both Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons coming back. It was a solid movie, well made, but it blends together with his other works in my head. Is this really all that different from Kinds of Kindness? I don't think so. I want him to break out a little more. I am too used to what he's doing. I'm used to the satirical takedowns of capitalism where the only thing added here was some brief exploration of what happened to turn these men into the people they are, the trauma around not trusting anyone leading to them being conspiracy theorists, which was great, but it's just a fraction of the movie. I also think the ending of this movie kind of complicated the message in a way I don't love. It turns out Emma Stone is an alien and they were right, giving their conspiracy-minded thoughts some credibility. They didn't need to be right about the alien part to have a point about class division. Muddies the waters in a way I don't fully love. With all Yorgos movies, it is well directed, the score is great, Emma is fine here, nothing new, same with Jesse, they filled their shoes well. I was impressed by Aidan Delbus and Stravos though, as newcomers who got the tone and matched what was given to them. Children No More, Were and All Gone, nominated for documentary short, is about a group of Israelis that perform a weekly silent protest. They gather and hold up signs showing off the children murdered by Israel. As a movie, or piece of documentary, it is as basic as one can get. A little long and just meanders around, but it is a powerful statement that portrays empathy and protest is what matters. I don't think you needed to do much more than what they did. I can see why the Academy members would feel good nominating this one, based on the emotions behind it. I might have fallen for that too and voted for it. The technical filmmaking does not drag it down, just doesn't help lift it up. The message means far more than the way it is delivered in this one. Little Amelie, Character of the Rain, is nominated for animated feature. It's about a 3-year-old Amelie living in post-war Japan. She's an immigrant and comes from Belgium. She was pretty well fleshed out for a 3-year-old having to face tension between her family and others who view that family as an outsiders. She develops a really close relationship with their housekeeper throughout this movie. Some of it works pretty well, while some of it doesn't. It bounces between typical 3-year-old problems and philosophizing about death and racism. I thought the movie was at its best when it was Amelie just trying to figure out the world. Her fights with her family, her interest in koi fish, but then the whole movie was mostly from her perspective, so we only saw glimpses of the outsider label she was given by being from Belgium. It wasn't explored further, then it just makes her sad. It's just confusing to me how little they actually explored this part of it. The animation was great, full of color in a way that so few movies are, warm and felt like a hug. We have hit a point in the ranking where everything from here is solid to good. If your goal is to watch as many nominated movies as possible, none of these would be a bad choice. Mr. Nobody Against Putin, nominated for documentary feature, is Palev Talakin secretly recording what happened to schools as Russian waged war on Ukraine, how the schools were taken over by propaganda. He saw kids go from curious and ready to learn, typical school subjects, to hungry for hate. He was unable to keep working in the system that directly fed propaganda to kids. That's when he started to record in secret and dipped from the country with the release of this film. At points, this felt like a fancy YouTube vlog, with the editing mostly. Pavel talking directly to the camera about what is happening on screen, the amateur shooting of it all, which is not an insult. There are reasons it had to be that way. I have been watching the nominated docs for a couple years now, and have not seen another movie that feels like this one. Most years, I think there are better video essays on YouTube than what gets nominated in this category, so this is a welcome stylistic change. The tone in this is really quite something. It is mostly a movie about how quickly a school can be weaponized, and about how the corruption of innocence and love in our youth has naturally. Hate can fester, but there are pockets of moments of joys, finding the high points, and people not willing to be a part of the machine. A dangerous movie to make. He had to flee to Prague and can most likely never return. I respect the hell out of this movie. Blue Moon, nominated for Best Actor in Original Screenplay, is about songwriter Lorenz Hart. The night his partner had a successful show without Hart for the first time, based on real people who I know nothing about going in. Directed by my boy Richie Linklater. He's everyone's boy, and we got 2 movies out of him this year. Linklater has 2 different types of movies. The all-timers, the Before trilogy and Everybody Wants Some for example, to the solid hangout movies like School of Rock and Dazed and Confused. Blue Moon is in that second tier. It is a fine time, but nothing extraordinary here. Enjoyable, but not a movie that will stick with me. The score was the standout here, and that didn't get the nom. Andrew Scott was at his best, Margaret Qualley was great, I love her so much. Then it comes to the lead acting performance in this, Ethan Hawke, and I think it was only fine. I just felt like he was fishing for this nom, trying a little too hard for me to fully love the performance. It was good, but I just wanted him to turn it down like half a notch. If this was Bradley Cooper in this role, everyone would be pissed it got a nom, even if it was the same exact performance. There are better, more interesting lead performances out there than Ethan Hawke this year, including in Linklater's other movie, Nouvelle Vague. Butcher's Stain, nominated for live-action short, is about a butcher falsely accused of tearing down a poster for hostages, him dealing with the fallout and prejudice fighting an incorrect accusation. It uses the Israeli genocide as a way to bring tension, but it hardly ever talks about that, which I don't love, but I can see why they did it. It had some other big themes to deal with, and they are connected enough that it doesn't feel cheap. It's a very solid short, they knew how to shoot this and edit it, pace it to make you feel the tension, the conflict and pressure were pretty feasible. I do find the answer of it all to be a little dumb. The poster he was accused of ripping down was just knocked off by some AC unit, then the racism took over. But it works well enough to stand in the middle of this list as a good short that did what it needed to. The Devil is Busy, nominated for documentary short, shows you a day in the life of an abortion clinic manager, the chaos she deals with between protesters and state laws. The doc is a visceral depiction of just how scary and dangerous healthcare or abortion can be for women. They made the dangers very feelable. It spends a considerable amount of time letting you hear what the religious protesters are screaming at scared people, calling them murderers, lets you linger in that and know that it is constant. This clinic, and if I had to guess, most clinics don't get a moment of peace. It will always be scary to get that care. But even beyond how scary being there and getting help can be, this doc highlighted how dumb the 6-week ban is. How it was such a large barrier to entry, most women not even knowing that they're pregnant at that point. All through observation and hearing from Tracy. Tracy, being the lead of this, had to have helped it. Someone who can eloquently put feelings to words, who has the experience so it never feels preachy. Exceptionally well put together doc. Cutting Through Rocks, nominated for documentary feature, is about Sarah, a woman who runs for office and wins in Iran, about the misogyny she faces and how she deals with it. The movie stands on Sarah and how interesting of a person she is, how dedicated she is to fighting for equality when the odds are stacked against her. This is a world I don't see often, this Iranian type living. While I'm used to blatant misogyny, not like this. Seeing it and how Sarah reacts was new to me. I just really enjoyed getting to know her and seeing how she operates. The pacing was a little off, spent too much time arguing about the shape of a part. I get it, it is significant to show she's not being listened to, but then we rush over other ways she's undermined. Like there's this entire legal battle that barely gets a footnote. Arguments with the one girl's uncles are just like a small itty bitty part of this. I just wish time was dedicated slightly differently in this movie, but in the end, a gorgeously shot doc about an interesting subject is a hit. Jane Austen's period drama, nominated for live action short, is a period drama in two senses of the word. You know the time period we are dealing with here, 1800s England. A woman is being proposed to as she has her period, her suitor mistakes it for an injury, and there's a big debate about whether she should tell him or not. There were some funny jokes in here with male obliviousness and the women talking about how they need to hide it. It's a great idea for a short, and I think they nailed it. It is one of the funnier things nominated this year, although it goes on just a little bit longer than it needed, and it has like 4 grown out loud jokes, so it doesn't fully land everything, but you can't really be expected to land everything in a comedy. The performances of the main two were really fun in this as well. The Perfect Neighbor, nominated for documentary feature, is about a neighborhood dispute between a cranky old lady and the kids who live around, using primarily police body cam footage from when they were on the scene, including the night the old woman shot a parent of one of the childs. This movie does exactly what it needs to. It doesn't over-dramatize it, a touching way to show off biases and the problems with some people. It's a perfect tribute to the victim. The scene of the incident and its aftermath is some of the most affecting filmmaking I have seen. It's just such a raw display of emotion. This is what I want to see more of from Netflix. Not like the one shitty doc they made recently where they were like recreations of stuff and overly obnoxious retellings of everything. Just present the crimes, don't over-sensationalize it. My biggest takeaway is just how much she expected to get away with it. Even when talking to the detectives, she was annoyed they were wasting her time. Her refusing to go to jail, almost like she believed it would work. Some people really just believe that they are above the system. Marty Supreme, nominated for Best Picture, Director, Actor, Original Screenplay, Cinematography, Casting, Editing, Costume Design, and Production Design, is about Marty Mouser, a table tennis player and a cocky little shit, who's in pursuit of being the best at his sport, and there's also a line here about his personal life. Marty Supreme was at its best when it was about table tennis and Marty's drive, but it just spends so long of its runtime being about dumb stuff like this dog that gets kidnapped, and also all the Kevin O'Leary bullshit I just don't care about. There was a certain energy to the movie and editing that kept these scenes good at the very least, and it kept me engaged, but I just didn't care about so much of what happened in this movie and wanted to get back to the table tennis of it all. Marty Supreme is a solid overall movie, but generally it's annoying with some of the shitheads involved in the making of it. It's just a little disappointing to be my final watch of the season. When it hits its stride, there isn't much else like it, but those moments are few and far between. And also, can we please, for the love of Christ, just give Timmy his Oscar? I think I still prefer Wagner, but like, come on guys, he wants it so bad, he was pretty good in this, and just give us a slight break. I would like to see what Timmy does when he isn't trying as hard, and think it would be nice. Like, we don't need to wait for the dude to be 35 to give him an Oscar. Just do it already. I'm exhausted with Timmy at this point. Hamnet, nominated for Best Picture, Director, Actress, Adapted Screenplay, Casting, Production Design, and Costume Design, and Score, is a Shakespeare adaptation about two lovers who have a baby named Hamnet and he later dies. Then his father writes a play about him, and it's all about the power of performance, love, and loss, and how these human emotions affect people. Every year for Best Picture, there's pretty much guaranteed to be a movie like Hamnet, very well made. It's a good movie, but it just doesn't hit me very hard. I enjoyed my time with it and can agree it deserves a solid amount of noms, but it's just not much more than that. The real highlight in this movie is the acting. They might as well engrave Jessie Buckley's name on that statue as we speak. I think she's a lock and is my favorite of the lead performances. Paul Mescal was also at his quiet, sad boy best here. Good to see him back at it and killing it. I wish he would have gotten that nom over either of the One Battle Boys or Delroy Lindo, but hey, it happens. The Smashing Machine, nominated for makeup and hairstyling, is about mixed martial artist Mark Kerr, his career and toxic relationship with his girlfriend. It is largely your typical biopic, but what elevates it is the fighting part. MMA-related sports are always going to be, at the very least, a little exciting if you know how to shoot them, and this movie does. I have a tendency to enjoy movies with fighting more than others, and I think that applies here. It doesn't do anything revolutionary. The makeup is very good, and Dwayne is great in this. He takes his dramatic turn seriously and can act. I love seeing him spreading his wings and taking more nuanced roles like this. He would be in my personal Best Actor 5, but that's really all the movie has. Some excitement due to the MMA stuff, and The Rock acting his ass off. Emily Blunt is also very good, but like, yeah, we all knew she would be, didn't we? Song Sung Blue, nominated for lead actress, is about two musicians who find love and start a Neil Diamond tribute band. Look, these basic ass biopics that have solid enough filmmaking and a great lead performance kinda work on me. This movie is cute, especially with the relationship Mike develops with his adopted daughter. It tugs on the heartstrings. This is also one of those movies that you realize is based on a true story, and it's just kind of wild how this person got hit by a car like twice and almost another time. The Kate Hudson nom is something. I think it was a pretty good performance overall, but I can't help it. I will just look at all the better performance styles out there. The acting categories always get this. Even if there are 3 of them that aren't in my top 5, my least favorite performance will be seen as the one who got in over all the snubbed people. So while I add Chase Infinity and Eva Victor in, Kate Hudson gets the brunt of that. Sorry Kate, I did like you in this, but I don't think you did enough to get nominated here. F1, nominated for Best Picture, Editing, Visual Effects, and Sound, is about an aging racer who comes to a struggling team to lead them and help mentor a young hotshot rookie. I watched F1 in August and wrote, I like when cars go fast. Sound design top notch. Joseph seems to be good at making movies about cars going fast. The story isn't much to care about though. I sit at the same point. I do like when cars go fast, but this movie has pissed me off now. Why the hell does this need a Best Picture nom? It doesn't. It took that number 10 spot and that makes me angry. There's a movie coming up later that I do not get to say is nominated for Best Picture. And all of that for this movie. This movie is just Top Gun Maverick, but worse. Cars are worse than planes. The cinematography is worse. Brad Pitt is worse than Tom Cruise. The young gun in this movie is worse than the one Miles Teller plays. He just kind of made the same movie, but did it worse. If this movie didn't get a Best Picture nom, I'd be way happier about its general existence. That's why it is so high up on this list. I just think the Best Picture nom is crazy. Jurassic World Rebirth, nominated for visual effects, is about a group of military people and a scientist who are hired to go to the dinosaur island. They also cross paths with the family, and everyone has to try and survive the dinosaurs. I think a lot of people out there decided to just hate this franchise no matter what they do, because the ratings on this one has me a little confused. It's a perfectly fine, fun action movie with dinosaurs, and some of the reactions are treating it like one of the worst movies ever and like it was such a slog to sit through. I'm actually kind of glad this got nominated here because it made me finally watch it. The boat action is a lot of fun, the family storyline is cute and does the job. The scene where only the daughter can fit through that gate and is almost eaten is some of the most emotionally tense filmmaking of the year for me. The reason the last one sucked is because they tried cashing in on nostalgia and the big bad was just a bunch of bugs. We got back to cool ass dinosaurs with this one, and we're not just like relying on the old people popping up. Is Jurassic World Rebirth the best movie ever? No, it is fairly generic action filmmaking, but dinosaurs are cool as fuck, everybody, and they brought the dinosaurs back. It is kind of the first one reimagined, some great action highs, some dull story fronts, but that's also what the original Jurassic Park is. It is not as good as that one, but it is not that much worse. Like, 1-star difference at most, but maybe only half a star. This is the third best movie in a franchise with only 3 good movies in it. I enjoyed my time with this one a lot more than I thought I would. And if they do end up making more, I hope this trilogy isn't like the other ones where they have a solid first movie onto utter dog shit after it. But I'd be excited to see more movies in the Jurassic World at this point. The Alabama Solution, nominated for documentary feature, is about a group of incarcerated men exposing what happens on the inside of Alabama's prison system, about the group's effort in fighting for the rights of prisoners, and their struggle to get the message out. It's my favorite of the docs, and much like 2 of the others, it was filmed under unique circumstances. As you could probably guess, the prisoners had to sneak around and film using contraband to get their message out here. It's impressive work. I of course knew how bad US prisoners had it, but there was still some shocking stuff in here. To the point of guards policing around the families of an inmate they murdered, threatening them. Best of luck to all the men who worked on this. Fuck the politicians and lobbyists who profit from mass incarceration, and all the corrupt people who let the system continue. I don't have anything more to say than just go watch the doc. They put it way better than I ever could. Butterfly, nominated for animated short, is about an older Jewish man recounting his life as a swimmer during World War II. I feel like with some good shorts there isn't much to talk about. It was well paced and a great story. The watercolor paint-esque animation was special, and such a simple way to tell the story makes it look unique. The clear winner from this category for me, standing among the best. Although, as I said, Snow Bear should have been nominated and might be my favorite animated short I've seen this year. Sinners, nominated for Best Picture, Director, Actor, Supporting Actress, Supporting Actor, Original Screenplay, Casting, Cinematography, Editing, Production Design, Costume Design, Makeup and Hairstyling, Visual Effects, Sound, Score, and Song, is about vampires and a juke joint. This is the current presumed second place in the race for Best Picture, and out of the 2 I vastly prefer this one. It was so rich with history and folklore, such a cool movie. The pale moon scene in particular is some special filmmaking and the best part in the movie. This movie just has the sauce, there's no other way of putting it. I do think a rewatch could help me, and I could see even more. Most people have this in the top 3 as the year, and it's definitely not there for me yet. Other than the one pale moon scene, my favorite part was everyone stuck in the juke joint and surrounded by vampires, the different instruments playing off each other, being unsure who you could trust, but it was just so short. They moved on to some badass action very quickly. The shortness of this section left me wanting a little bit more. The smallest realignment of this movie could push it into all-timer status for me, but even then, it is still a great movie and speaks to the power of original cinema. So happy for the success of this one. Even if I find 16 noms a little bit over the top, I can't complain. I did really enjoy Sinners. Surah, nominated for Sound and International Feature, is about a father looking for his daughter at some EDM raves. He's clearly a fish out of water, but only cares about looking for his daughter who disappeared at the party months ago. Much like music, this is a movie you feel. It has a rhythm to it because of the sound and score. The Academy is too scared to nominate a score like this, but I'm glad that they did go with the sound because it's the best part of the movie. I could also see an argument for giving this casting, the way they found real ravers and non-actors who were really good in their parts. The movie is a descent into madness in the best possible way. Things go off the rail and you feel all the stress they want you to, with the final scene of them dancing in the minefield being some of the freest feeling things ever. They were doomed, but committed to one last party, one last escape. I wish I had gotten the chance to watch this in a theater with a proper sound system rather than my bad headphones. It would have made me like the movie even more, I'm guessing. Weapons, nominated for supporting actress, is about a bunch of spooky shit happening. All but one kid in a class Naruto run out of this house and disappear one day. Turns out it was an old witch. I've covered Weapons in a video on its own back in October. In order to not recover ground, I still think the movie works pretty solidly and stand by what I said in that movie. I've just cooled on it a little bit. Amy Madigan is an inspired acting nominee for this. So happy that she got it for this type of role they don't usually give attention to. K-pop Demon Hunters, nominated for Song and Animated Feature, is about a K-pop trio that double as demon hunters. Like Batman if he was a pop star instead of a nepo baby. The movie has some of the evil demons posing as a boy K-pop group using their evil powers to take over the fans. It's a very silly movie. Look, I'm an avid girly pop lover. As I am writing this, I have an Addison Rae song playing in my headphones. If you want some recs of great pop music, hit the comments and I can give them. I've dipped my toe into K-pop. Luna is my favorite band. I like Cat's Eye and have listened to a fair amount of some other K-pop. I also love this Turkish girl group called Manifest. They're very similar to K-pop. How was I not gonna like this one? Cool girly pop is one of my favorite things on earth. I adored the band and performance aspects of this, how they explored idol culture a tiny bit. I've seen the movie in full 2 times, and pieces of it a fair chunk more. My cousin who I babysit sometimes loved this one and went as the main girl for Halloween. So I've definitely been around the movie quite a bit and it still hasn't fully exhausted on me, which is impressive. I still fail to see the need for this boring love story that drags though. It feels so forced and takes the movie down with it. They should have just given me some more K-pop group on their own, being cool and hunting demons. Other than that, it is a kids movie, so it isn't revolutionary on the story front. You know what you are getting here. Golden still bangs and stands as a pretty solid K-pop bop. One of the singing voice actresses, Rei Ami, has some bangers out there. I was using Spotify and clicked on her profile only to see she was in like the top 200 artists in the world, which blew my mind. I'd never seen anyone talk about her, and that's how I realized she was the voice in this song. She has sick music, and this movie's just like a lot of fun. 2 People Exchanging Saliva, nominated for live action short, is about a dystopian future where kissing has been banned, punishable by death, and you have to pay for things by being slapped. More specifically about the sexual tension between a saleswoman and an impulsive shopper. I found it to be such an interesting short. The concept takes a second to get into. It's just weird enough to make you question it and wonder why these 2 seemingly unconnected ideas are thrown together. If you pitched the whole no kissing or the slapping is money on their own, it would make sense. But the movie convinced me through world building and the plot that it all works and makes sense together, which the world building is peak here. People applying makeup bruises to make it seem like they have bought more than they have, breath checkers to see if anyone is kissed, having to get a toothbrush on the black market. It all makes a load of sense for this world that shouldn't exist. But what really carries this is the relationship between our 2 leads. What starts off as longing, light flirting between the 2 turns more tangible. You can feel their attraction to each other, and this is what makes the slapping part make sense. Physical affection is banned, so when they do the slaps, it serves as that physical connection, making an act of violence somewhat intimate, heightening the emotions until they break to seal the deal and touch more. The balance of hating the slaps and pain while loving the person giving them is a mind twister, and the 2 actresses were very good in this. I also respect their decision to keep this short. You could have made it longer, but they didn't feel the need to. Keep it short and concise. This is the best short of the year in my opinion. The Secret Agent, nominated for Best Picture, Actor, Casting, and International Feature, is about Armando, a former professor fleeing political persecution from the dictatorial leadership of Brazil. It is partly taken through the lens of modern-day students listening to tapes from the times, so it is a bit scattered and hard to follow throughout. This movie is so densely packed that I found it a little hard to get everything, but as high as it is, you can tell I really enjoyed what I did get. What I picked up about politics were great. It had some bite to it about authoritarian regimes and some interesting debate about how people fight them. The characters are smart and have fleshed out beliefs, while occasionally letting their emotions get in the way of what the smarter choice is. I also enjoyed the themes of legacy this had. Wagner is phenomenal here, playing a cool, calm guy who was carrying a lot of stress to him, the balance of the 2 being hard to strike. He carries himself confidently but never too cocky and definitely earns his Best Actor nom in my mind. Train Dreams, nominated for Best Picture, Adapted Screenplay, Cinematography, and Song, is about a logger in the early 1900s, his life with his wife and daughter, him leaving them to log for a couple months at a time, and how a fire affects his life. It's some deeply emotional filmmaking, a slow movie about a man who just goes through life. This dude would have killed it in modern day therapy. He just regularly talks about life in a really whimsical way. This is just an intimate hangout movie in essence, anchored by great filmmaking. I am so glad this is here. When this came out, we all still thought Wicked, Avatar, and Jay Kelly had a chance at picture, and two of those got goose-egged. It opened up the race for something as heartfelt as this to slip in. It felt a little too slow and indie for the Academy to fully appreciate, but here we are. I think it was snubbed from sound as well. It really was a tech powerhouse this year on top of the amazing emotional connection it was able to draw. Another example of how annoying Netflix can be. So many people would have eaten that up if this movie was put in theaters. Movies like this deserve more than being dumped on a streamer. At least they had the awareness to support it for award season, and I love seeing this one here. The Voice of Hind Rajab, nominated for International Feature, is about a Red Crescent emergency center in Gaza when they get a call from a child trapped under a flaming car. Wanting to save her, they need to jump through layers of communication to get clearance for the ambulance without it being shot at. This was based off of a real event, where the Israeli military shot at a family and trapped a little girl in the car for hours, only to kill her and the ambulance they allowed to rescue her. The movie uses real recordings of Hind Rajab as she called for safety. Look, I could probably criticize this movie for emotional manipulation, but it doesn't feel right or productive. It evoked exactly the feelings it wanted in me. The performances and editing helped what would have already been an emotionally charged watch, and I felt every emotion here. It had me crying. The violence in Gaza is and has been senseless. Free Palestine. Frankenstein, nominated for Best Picture, Supporting Actor, Adapted Screenplay, Cinematography, Production Design, Costume Design, Makeup and Hairstyling, Sound, and Score. I don't need to tell you the story of Frankenstein, do I? For a movie this high up, I would have thought I had more to say about it, but the vibes were just great and I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Frankenstein. I enjoyed highlighting the love the monster can have, something I don't see present in many adaptations. It made this one feel fresh. This is Del Toro at his most Del Toroing. He's making a movie about some weirdo and is directing the hell out of it, putting in all of his personality. I've tended to enjoy the movies of his I've watched. His movies like him give off a lovable weirdo, and I'm just charmed by his style, so Frankenstein largely worked on me. Kokuho, nominated for makeup and hairstyling, is about the son of a Yakuza member when his dad is murdered. Kiku is taken under the wing of a kabuki actor and dedicates his life to stage performance. This movie spans decades of his life, his relationships, dedication to the craft, and his friendship/rivalry with his adopted brother. This is by far the biggest surprise of the nominated bunch for me. When I saw a 3-hour movie about stage acting that was nominated for makeup and hair, I was dreading it. Thought I'd have to slog it out for a makeup and hair nomination. But about 20 minutes in, I was glued to the screen and my attention never wavered. I know next to nothing about kabuki or its history. It's something I'll have to look into after this. But what I do know is how I felt and how much I loved this movie. It has a lot of hallmarks of the movies I like. The drive for being the best in the arts, familial ties and how they affect the characters, an epic story crossing time. I liked every piece of this thing. The craft here is undeniable. The lighting and coloring on another level. This is what movies need to look like regularly again. Like genuinely might be the best looking movie of the year. The two main actors are brilliant in their interactions in kabuki scenes. They actually trained with like real kabuki actors to get it down more. A stunning movie all around. I would have to guess if all Academy members watch this, it would be in some other categories. It should be in cinematography, have the acting noms. So shout out to the makeup branch for actually watching movies and doing proper research. I'm so glad this one got nominated because I love it so much, and I wanted to watch it if it didn't. This is the type of movie you do the death race for. This movie isn't for everyone, but if you like slower character-driven movies, take a chance on this one. It Was Just an Accident, nominated for Original Screenplay and International Feature, is about a mechanic who was formerly imprisoned and tortured by Iranian authorities. One day, he hears the same squeaky prosthetic leg from when he was tortured. He captures the man and enters a moral dilemma, unable to confirm if this was the man who tortured him. This is the movie I am upset didn't get a Best Picture nomination. Not a director nom either. All because we can't have too many foreign movies in the Oscars, can we? I thought this was the year we would get at least 3, but nope, that isn't allowed, I guess. This movie is about so much and means so much. First off, one of the reasons I respect this is director and writer Jafar Panahi, a man who has spent his entire life being a political opponent for his filmmaking. Making this movie while under pressure means something and is impressive. Then, it's a movie that only he can make. So much of it is inspired by his 2 stints in prison, where he was blindfolded and tortured, having only your sound and hearing to go off of. Then in another prison, where he had debated philosophies of justice and revenge with the other prisoners, which comes through in this movie. The characters debate between right and wrong, if killing this man makes them the villain, if you should blame the individual or the system. There's a real moral conundrum at the heart of this movie that makes for some invigorating filmmaking. This is one of those movies that made me feel every emotion. Full attention that sucked me in. A scary situation you can put yourself in. Some of the best scenes of the entire year are here. The final discussion with the captured man was so heated, begging for his life. Then the ending with this guy hearing the squeak again. There are a couple different readings, but mine is that the captured man is back to kill the mechanic. It makes the most sense with relations to real life government that mercy is not the answer to dealing with an aggressive, vengeful governmental force. It was just an accident, as everything movies should be. Deeply engaging and entertaining while being about so much more. It leaves you thinking about it for months afterwards. A technical fest. I love this movie so much, I'm glad I get to talk about it in this video, even if it did not get that Best Picture nom. Sentimental value, nominated for Best Picture, Director, Actress, 2 supporting actresses, supporting actor, original screenplay, editing, and international feature, is about a family with problems. Absent film director Dad makes an effort to get back into his daughter's lives and offers his stage actor daughter Nora a part in his next movie, about his own mother who killed herself. This is one of 2 movies from 2025 I've given 5 stars to. This is a movie that reaches into you, grabs your heart, and holds it. Puts you on the edge of your seat, unable to breathe, then rips your heart out. And then it puts it back in and does this over and over and over. An emotional freight train of a movie. Sadness, happiness, and laughs. Something I've been trying to verbalize recently is that sometimes the best thing a movie can do is make you feel. When I think about this movie, my first thought is not to talk about the plot or the craft, but how I felt while and after watching it. The way the movie moved me. Something that I have found hard to happen. To be truly encapsulated by a movie like this. I still think about it almost every day, 2 months out. To talk about why I love this as much as I do in detail is something I will save for an offline conversation. It is about life and family and art and the purpose of life and everything. It's about everything. I love movies that are about so much. I hope I can one day put into words what this movie has meant to me in the 2 months I have lived with it. While I said technical craft isn't the first thought I have with this movie, it was undeniably great. Maybe all around the best acted movie ever, starting off with Stellan Skarsgård, which I have gone back and forth if this is even category fraud. He's arguably the center of the movie, but I come out to think that he is supporting because the movie is not about him, it's about how other people react to him, how he affects the others in his life. It's dubious stuff, but you know. I think Nora is the lead, but I would not argue if you put Stellan in lead. It's a powerhouse performance I need to take an Oscar home. He does so much with just his eyes and the way he reacts to others, pushing them further. Renee is magical here, bouncing off of others so well. Igna is a remarkable new talent, and there's also Elle Fanning, who I think did some magical work in this movie, who I saw myself in. This character loves movies and wants to be involved but has not developed the skills. It feels inauthentic to her for some reason, and Elle portrays this amazingly. I love this movie, but there's a nagging voice telling me I'm just being pretentious that occasionally pipes up, and it does this with a lot of movies I really love. How I interact with art is a big reason I got as much out of this movie as I did, and Elle is the one who I saw that in. But it's so hard to pick a best performance here, and the screenplay is large and loud, once again about everything. If you only have time to watch one nominated movie this year, make it sentimental value. So there it is, my ranking of every movie nominated for an Oscar this year, and a little explanation on what they're about to help you decide which ones to watch. Hopefully you found this video helpful, insightful, or entertaining in some way. The Oscar death race is not for the weak of heart, but I would definitely do it, and I am going to continue doing it. I would trade watching a couple dog shit movies for finding the gems hidden among them. This video gives you some ideas of a video I'm planning to release later, where I give awards to the 2025 movies. I'll be dropping that in around early March. And then for the rest of February, I have 2 videos covering the start of my 2026 Criterion Challenge. I'm really looking forward to the future of the channel, so please like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks for watching this video.